You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Monday, January 19th. I'm Maria Lizignoli.
And I'm Johnny Connor. Thanks for listening to Four Things to Know.
Our top story today. We have new numbers from the federal government on arrests made in our state. More than 3,000 arrests have been made in the Minneapolis area by federal ICE and Border Patrol agents since the start of Operation Metro Surge. This is according to a new statement from the Department of Homeland Security. Today marks an important deadline in the legal standoff between Minnesota and the federal government. The federal government has until tonight to issue a response to a lawsuit filed by the state of Minnesota. The suit seeks an immediate stop to the surge of ICE operations in the state through a temporary injunction. While today is a federal holiday, the judge said the issue is too important to wait. The judge presiding over the case is also the judge who ruled on Friday on when ICE agents can detain or use tear gas against protesters.
Number 2, a U.S. defense official tells CBS News that 1,500 active duty soldiers are on standby in Alaska for possible deployment to Minneapolis. The soldiers are from the 11th Airborne Division in Alaska. President Donald Trump has said he is considering invoking the Insurrection Act, which gives him the authority to deploy armed forces domestically. The Minnesota National Guard is also on standby by orders of Governor Tim Walz to support, quote, the rights of all who assemble peacefully. Protesters demonstrated throughout the weekend, as they have every day since the deadly shooting of Renee Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis a week and a half ago. And last night on 60 Minutes, Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara shared his concerns about the killing of Good.
We're in this 2020 moment where all these tensions have been building. And I'm afraid we're going to have another moment where it all explodes.
Normally, the Minnesota Guard is under the command of the governor. But if President Trump invokes the Insurrection Act, that puts the Minnesota National Guard under control of the president.
Number 3. Here in Minnesota and across the country, people are celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Today, hundreds gathered at Powderhorn Park, the neighborhood at the epicenter of Renee Good's killing and presence of federal officers. At noon, our Jason Rantala reported inside the Powderhorn Recreation Center with a gathering that holds extra meaning this year.
The festivities celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King are well underway here at the Powderhorn Recreation Center. We've got lunch for 700 people if need be. We have activities for kids, we have speakers, and we just heard from the Brass Solidarity Band. Just wrapped up, folks here celebrating Dr. King's legacy. It all holds extra meaning in the wake of the killing of Renee Good. Meanwhile, neighbors have been living in fear as ICE arrests their loved ones. Catherine Bushman is the executive director of the Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association. She says not holding this year's celebration has been going on for nearly 3 decades was a real possibility, but she says the people in the neighborhood, the artists, said we need to hold this event. I asked Bushman what Dr. King's thoughts might be with everything happening right now.
I think he would say that this struggle has been going on for many years, and the fight has only changed shape, you know. I was taught that the civil rights movement solved all the problems of the world, and it really didn't. It was just another marker in time.
And Bushman says the level of feelings of fear right now are not completely unfamiliar. This is similar, she said, to the pandemic as well as the time surrounding the uprising or after the murder of George Floyd. The South Minneapolis community has been there for each other, so Bushman said it was important for folks here to gather here today.
Number 4, after the protest this weekend, the battle of words between state and federal officials continues. Yesterday morning, both Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey appeared on CBS's Face the Nation. Noem blamed Minnesota leaders, including Frey, for recent violence. She suggested protesters be confined to a peaceful protest zone. Frey said he will not limit the First Amendment.
If he would set up a peaceful protest zone so that these individuals can exercise their First Amendment rights and do so peacefully, we would love that. Because then we could work together to make sure we're getting criminals to justice and letting people still express their First Amendment rights.
First Amendment speech is not limited to one park or one section of the city. You are allowed to protest so long as you're doing it peacefully. And by the way, we've got tens of thousands of people in Minneapolis that are grinning down the bear, that are peacefully expressing their First Amendment rights. So no, you can't have just one section of a city. That's not the way First Amendment works.
Those are the 4 things to know today. Now let's check in on our frigid forecast.
Hi, I'm next weather meteorologist Lisa Meadows. Get ready for a chilly one as we head into tonight. Temps dropping down to 8 below 0. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow, only 12, with a light snow chance moving in, especially for southern Minnesota.
And now, here's more to know.
ICE says an undocumented immigrant picked up in Minneapolis died in their custody. 36-year-old Victor Manuel Diaz of Nicaragua was being held at Camp East Montana in El Paso, Texas. According to an ICE statement, he was unresponsive in his room and agents contacted medical staff. It says he died from a presumed suicide, though his death is still under investigation.
New polling from CBS News finds more Americans describe ICE's operations as too tough when stopping and detaining people. 56% had that view in November, and it's now at 61%. The poll also points to perceptions of who is being targeted by the deportation program. Americans are increasingly likely to say the administration is not prioritizing dangerous criminals, and most think the administration is trying to deport more people than they thought it would. The CBS News poll says that Americans' perceptions of protesters' actions against ICE differ across party lines as well. 10% of Democrats and 82% of Republicans say protesters have gone too far. Local and federal law enforcement acknowledge the right to protest as long as it's done legally. Here's more from Chief O'Hara and Marcos Charles. He's an associate director for ICE.
People have a right to say disrespectful things. As a professional, I have an obligation not to take that personally and not to retaliate. However, they cannot physically obstruct law enforcement from performing a function. Those things are illegal.
I'm bothered by seeing people take action against my officers, using vehicles to try to ram them, assaulting my officers. Our officers are humans, they're people.
Overall, President Trump's approval on handling immigration has also ticked down to its lowest point of his second term. That's again according to this CBS News poll.
A Sunday church service is under investigation by the Justice Department. An anti-ICE protest made its way into a St. Paul sanctuary during service. Protesters say a pastor at City's Church is also the acting director of the St. Paul field office of ICE. The Justice Department says it is investigating the incident, saying protesters violated the FACE Act. Now, that law prohibits intimidating or interfering with people's right to practice their faith. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has already responded, saying violations of law will be prosecuted, adding, quote, attacks against law enforcement and the intimidation of Christians are being met with the full force of federal law.
We know it's really cold out today, but if you're looking for a chance to get outside in these long winter months, and who's not, today might be a great day for it. You can visit Minnesota's state parks for free. The Martin Luther King Jr. holiday is one of 4 free park days the DNR holds every year. This means no vehicle permits are required to enjoy the outdoors. A note, however, if you plan to camp, I don't know who's camping.
I don't know who's camping. It is so cold out.
Or use rental equipment. Those fees may still apply, but again, who's camping? It's so cold.
I know.
I give you credit, though, if you would camp today.
I give you credit if you go outside at all today.
The other free days this year are in April, June, and November.
And this cold weather makes me really miss the heat of summer. And like the epitome of summer in Minnesota is the state fair.
Of course.
And we're already talking about it because we have new news about the pricing this year. The Minnesota State Fair is keeping prices the same this summer. Prices will not be increasing for parking or tickets this year. So prices remain at $20 for adults and $18 for kids, and kids ages 4 and under get in free. Plus, the governing body for the fair voted to approve $67 million in improvements to the fairgrounds. Officials say this year's work includes finishing the Lee and Rose Warner Coliseum and then fixing up fences and sidewalks. So if you're already counting down the days, because again,
Everyone
not?
is.
Everyone is. The Minnesota State Fair is just a little more than 200 days away.
I've been to the fair so many times, and now I have like my routine, right?
Yes,
What do you want to do when you get to the fair? And it's so nice because I go there, I just know what I want to accomplish, and it's great.
We're lucky that the State Fair is here in the cities, and we also live in the Twin Cities, because I know some people who travel from super far every year to come to the fair. And yeah, we're lucky that we get to kind of go a couple times.
It's going to be here before you know it.
It's coming up, yeah. 200 days.
Let's talk sports. Man. This was a great story. Lindsey Vohn's comeback, Maria, we've talked about it a couple times now. So she's coming off 5 years of retirement, and she said her goal when she returned was the Olympics. And so far, she's exceeding even the loftiest expectations. So remember, she's 41 years old, had a knee replacement, but yesterday she placed second in a World Cup race, and she has 2 wins recently, tracking toward having a real shot at a gold medal at the Winter Olympics. That would be incredible.
I feel like, every other day we're talking about a Lindsey Vonn win.
Seriously.
She's amazing.
It's insane. And the Olympics are coming up. They start in 3 weeks. And I will definitely be watching her.
I'm so
I wonder,
excited.
because the time change is so different, I bet.
Ooh, good question.
I hope they prioritize her for the American audience.
right?
I don't know if that can happen, but.
Well, either way, we'll definitely see it online.
Yeah, exactly. In hockey news, the Wild are in Toronto tonight. They are missing a bunch of players with injuries, but they did win in overtime on Saturday. That's a 6:30 puck drop. The Wolves are off tonight, but they're in Utah tomorrow.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
Minnesota history was made in Florida yesterday. We watched as several college dance teams battled to defend their championship titles. And one team had to crawl back from some tough scores. They even had a fall on stage. The University of Minnesota brought it back, though. They earned their 24th national championship, earning them first in Palm for the 4th season in a row.
That's crazy.
I know. They got first, and they even had a fall on stage. I just they must be that good.
24 national titles is insane.
It's wild. And they also took home 3rd in D1A Jazz. But that's not the only impressive Minnesota team that took home some hardware. For the 2nd year in a row, Minnesota State Mankato took first in Jazz and Palm, and then the Duluth Bulldogs came in right behind them, taking 2nd in Jazz and Palm. St. Thomas took 5th in their division in Jazz and Hip Hop, and St. Cloud State took 5th in Palm.
It kind of is. I know we joked about it on Friday, but it's like the state of dance. I mean, and no one would think of Minnesota as like a dancing capital, right? It's not a warm climate or anything.
Right. You think, okay, state of hockey. Sure, I get it. State of dance. Minnesota. Get that in your mind. And there are more to come from the UDA Nationals. Marielle Mose was down there in Florida reporting on all of it. She'll have another report from Florida tonight on our news at 5 in Women in Sports.
Hopefully she can bring back some warmth,
too. Oh my gosh, right? It is too cold. It is dangerous cold today. Well, on that note, please, everyone, stay warm. Thanks for listening to 4 Things to Know. With Johnny Connor, I'm Maria Lizignoli, and we're here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock.
Listen to 4 Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.